Right, here we go. Hello and welcome once again to the Sporty Usher podcast. This is Dave, and with me as always is my co-commentator through this weird and wonderful world of sport. It's James. How are you doing, James?
I'm doing well, Dave, and hasn't it been a great week for sport?
It has been a fantastic week for sport. So in this edition of the Sporty Usher podcast, we are talking about football. Loads to cover off. We are just about to enter the international break. So with the England and Scotland squads being announced this week, we will dissect them for you. We will preview Scotland's Euro 2021, as it is, semi-final playoff against Israel. We will probably just skate over the Nations League games because I don't think either of us can really be bothered with them. We will round up the British teams in Europe as the Champions League and Europa League draws were both completed at the end of this week. Review the SPFL and Premier League. Some incredible results in the Premier League as things head into the international break. So all of that to come on the Sporty Ushers Football Podcast. Okay, James, so excited as I am for the up-and-coming international break. So last month's Nations League games were just utterly diabolical. I think it almost kind of makes us miss international friendlies or international challenge matches as they are on the tickets. But it was just poor, wasn't it, last month?
Yeah.
So the only sort of thing for Scotland is that the first game. So Scotland are playing 3 games against Israel, Slovakia, and the Czech Republic. So the Israel game is not a Nations League game. It is a playoff semi-final for the European Championships. So we will play Israel, and if we are victorious, we will then play either Serbia or Norway, and the winner of that game will progress to play in England's group at Euro 2021, as it will be now. So I think we'll just kind of start. We'll start with England, actually. So I'll just quickly run through it. So goalkeepers were Pickford, Pope, and Henderson, so no big surprises there. Defenders, Alexander-Arnold, Chilwell, Connor Cody, Eric Dyer, Joe Gomez, Michael Keane, Harry Maguire, Ashley Maitland-Niles, Tyrone Mings, Bukayo Saka, Kieran Trippier and Kyle Walker. Then in midfield, Jordan Henderson, Jack Grealish, Mason Mount, Calvin Phillips, Declan Rice, James Ward-Prowse and Harry Winks, with Tammy Abraham, Harvey Barnes, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Danny Ings, Harry Kane, Marcus Rashford, Jadon Sancho and Raheem Sterling as the forwards. So the first thing is that Mason Greenwood and Phil Foden have been left out, which I don't think is any great surprise to anyone after their antics in Iceland. So there's also 3 debutants in there. Bukayo Saka, from Arsenal. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, after his incredible start to the season, he scored his second hat-trick in the space of a week. And Harvey Barnes of Leicester, which is absolutely well deserved. Now, obviously, I am not English, so to me, it says that he isn't really that scared of calling up young players. I mean, that is a very, very young squad, isn't it?
So yeah, I think it really does point to him in wanting to bring in not being afraid to bring in youthful or inexperienced or new players into the squad. I think, and even if you look at someone like, say, Kyle Walker, who most people probably would have expected to have a long route back to get into the England team, I think he might be included just because maybe they do need a bit of balance with some more experienced kind of heads in the squad. With it being sort of 30 players, I think there is still room for young talent to come in, and I'm just glad he sort of made the call sort of where he has.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Kyle Walker, for me, that was the one thing I was going to call out was the fact that so Kyle Walker is comfortably behind Trent Alexander-Arnold in the pecking order. You've got to think that, given the fact that he's one of the best sort of right backs in world football at the minute, then so you would think if you got a chance to play for your country you would take it with both hands.
Yeah.
Instead, Kyle Walker, in a game where England were under no pressure whatsoever in the entire game, I think Iceland had one chance in the whole game, he managed to get himself sent off, not for a rush of blood to the head, for 2 yellow cards. Like, so how, as a fullback, under no pressure for 90 minutes, do you manage to get yourself sent off for 2 yellow cards? Like, sure, if that was me, then he would have played his last game for England, because the guy doesn't have the temperament, surely, and because it's not as if there was somebody down his throat for 90 minutes getting frustrated and everything like that.
It wasn't a last ditch tackle he had to put in to stop a breakaway goal, and it wasn't like a handball off the line or anything. It was just literally, like you said, like in discipline, wasn't it?
Exactly. And then you expect that from like a Joe Gomez or a Declan Rice or one of these young kids who are, new to the squad. But this is a guy who's won Premier League titles, and he's played in major tournaments. He has played in major tournaments, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has. Yeah. Well, I think him or Henderson probably the oldest players in the squad.
Yeah, I mean, looking down the squad, you've got Henderson, you've got him, then probably Harry Kane. And Jordan Pickford are your next most experienced. Maybe Eric Dyer, which is even mad to think of, But what I like to see in there as well is you have Nick Pope, Burnley, right? You've got Connor Cody, Wolves.
Yes.
You've got Tyrone Mings, Aston Villa. You've got Declan Rice, West Ham. Ward-Prowse, Southampton. Jack Grealish, Aston Villa. So you've got like a really good. So it's not just Man City's players, or it's not just Man United players, or it's not just Arsenal players or Liverpool players or whatever. That's probably helped because most of their squad aren't English, which helps. But the fact that they are like from a real cross section of English football, which is really nice to see. So out of these sort of debutants, I mean, Harvey Barnes, it's great to see him because he is a great player. Who are you most excited about that's been called up in that squad? What are the names that jump off the page to you?
I do think I will quickly just say I do think Jack Grealish, he's could have been listed as a midfielder, and I think he is sort of the player who could be a spark for England if he kind of find. But I don't know what his best role is playing for England, because think about that. And the great thing is the front line, like, if Harry Kane, if they can't play Harry Kane in 3 games over, in a week after Tottenham's, I think Tottenham played 8 games in 19 days or something ridiculous.
Ridiculous that he's even there, it's. So
if Dominic Calvert-Lewin can play up front alongside, say, Jadon Sancho and Raheem Sterling, who's to say he can't start off with like a goal scoring, because it'll do all the hard work. But he is sort of turning himself into a poacher, a fox in the box, and I'd like to see him in, but then I also like to see Danny Ings in there as well.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And I know it's not a debut for him, but it'd be good to see him getting back in there. But I do think Saka from Arsenal as well. He looks like a really good kind of player on the left hand side.
Yeah,
and with sort of
him on the left and Alexander-Arnold on the right. And
yes.
It's just frightening, isn't it?
If Ben Chilwell I don't think he's played for Chelsea yet, so
no.
If he'd be fit for all 3 games, it's very unlikely. So Saka, unless he decides to go with Trippier at left back again, if Saka plays there, that'd be a very attacking move. But also he has got like a tactical kind of like brain for a guy who's so young. He has played sort of across the front line. He's played left wing. He's played left back. He has got a lot more kind of like knowledge than you might kind of expect. And Maitland-Niles as well is another very versatile player.
Yeah.
Who and probably just think if we can get these players coming in, it's better to have a versatile player like a Maitland-Niles or a Saka than it is to have a versatile player in the form of, say, if that's why Kyle Walker's been chosen.
Yeah.
Back who can play right side of centre back 3, or Eric Dyer if that's why he's getting chosen, because he's he's as comfortable in midfield as he's at centre back. Should we say that? That's kind of his.
Yeah.
But with like Joe Gomez in as well, like a guy who's played along the back line, and Tyrone Mings as well. There are players who can. We've got a versatile sort of team.
I think so, and I think you're still a bit light in midfield. With apart from Henderson, like Grealish, Mount, Phillips, Rice, Ward-Prowse, and Winks. It's just there's a long way from the dilemma of would you play Gerrard or Lampard. There's they came a long way from there, but I think you've got enough going forward, and you've got the makings of a sort of good defence that I think England will be fine going forward. But so one of those games is a friendly as well, which would really kind of a good opportunity to get Harvey Barnes a game, to get Calvert-Lewin upset. I mean, I imagine Harry Kane, Harry Winks, who's the other Tottenham boy that's in there, Eric Dyer. I imagine they'll be near that Wales game.
Yeah.
But you can understand Jose Mourinho saying, hang on a minute here. Yeah. These guys have played however many games in 19 days, and now you want to go and play 3 games for England? I don't think so.
Yeah, I definitely think so.
It wouldn't surprise me if the Tottenham boys maybe pulled out of the squad with some sort of injury.
I wouldn't be surprised if they only played one game, because the Belgian game maybe. Yeah. And maybe be on the bench for the other games. But yeah, like I said, it's we've mentioned in the past, but there was a big, the 2018 World Cup produced a really big groundswell of opinion and of support for the England team, and sort of they've carried that on. They've kept bringing in sort of more young players, and it's an exciting time to be an England football fan. There's been times in the past where it's been England have played, international weekend, boring, there's nothing to do. It's, England are going to have a turgid kind of performance. But now there's actually there's young players coming in that you're so excited to see, and who knows if Saka will have a long career, or if he'll fizzle out and be done by 22 like some sort of young players are. But this could be the beginning of a 100-cap career that we could be watching. And there is we said the sort of the last international matches were kind of pointless. There is one thing I did want to mention, and that was James Ward-Prowse. I don't think I've been prouder of a player than when he was when they got that late penalty and he was scraping his studs across the penalty spot to that was like I've been watching the Tottenham All or Nothing recently, and Jose Mourinho uses some choice language about what he wants his players to be. He seems to have two levels. One is saying that he wants, the most important thing is family and togetherness on the football pitch, and the other one is, it's he wants his team to be a bunch of, the word, and which makes you think, how does he treat his family? But that is the kind of thing that I think he would that you need winners who are prepared to let's be honest, cheat a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
there's no World Cup winners that haven't had a slightly darker side to them, and not that I want James Ward-Prowse.
No, you're absolutely.
But it's we want our England players to be. We all complain about when players aren't bothered about losing and stuff. So I don't think we can get on our high horse too much.
So we've talked about the squad and stuff. So there's a friendly against Wales, and then 2 games against Denmark and Belgium. So having watched the last round, do you think the games are going to be worth watching, or is it literally going to be as dull as it was before?
To be honest, I can't say that it definitely will be, but let's be honest, the Premier League has been pretty entertaining recently, hasn't it? So hopefully these players can carry that on to the the match against Belgium can be a 5-4 thriller maybe.
Yeah, well, you never know.
I think that would be a good game. I think I can see the Denmark game being a bit of hard work, but I think the Wales match would be nice and open.
Yeah,
and I think hopefully the Belgium game will be a good one. So I think it'll be.
I'd rather hope than expectation, I suppose. Yeah. So over a bit about Scotland now. The Scotland-Israel game, which is next Thursday night, the 8th of August, is the game that was rearranged from March. It was the first time Hampden had been a deck, of which I was supposed to be going to that game as well. So we, with Miss Dad and Alan's son, we're all going to go and watch that. So we have got our £80 refund from the SFA. Now, they did encourage Scotland fans to put the money back into grassroots football. However, both Alan and myself wouldn't trust the SFA to invest. So what we did instead was we went and bought 2 Albion Rovers shirts. So we reinvested the money in the lower leagues in Scotland, where we feel that it could make a real difference, as opposed to just probably paying someone's salary at the SFA. Let's be honest. So we did reinvest our money back into the game rather than kind of pocket it buy crisps with it, which was what I probably normally do. But the fact remains that Scotland are playing this really important game on Thursday. We played a really poor game against Israel at Hampden last month, followed by an equally poor game against the Czech Republic. But we did come out with 4 points from the opening two games.